This is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue, and I am Jenna Basonko. Thanks for joining us here at the main news headlines. A child born in the Gambia today will only attain 42.4% of their potential productivity as an adult, according to the latest World Bank Human Capital Review report. The chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, paid a courtesy call on China's ambassador to the Gambia, His Excellency Louis Jing. The Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Gambian government and partners, commenced the 10th round of the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination campaign on Tuesday. Now, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy and partners on Tuesday commenced a 3-day regional consultative forum on digital ID and interoperability in Africa. In international news, Senegal's government on Tuesday temporarily closed its consulates abroad following a series of attacks on diplomatic missions. Now, those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Jenna Basonko. Now, a child born in the Gambia today will only attain 42.4% of their potential productivity as an adult. This is according to the latest World Bank Human Capital Review report. Jordan Jai attended the event, and she fastened this report.
Human capital is defined as the knowledge, skills and health that people accumulate over their lives, enabling them to reach their potential as productive members of society. Human capital makes individuals strive and fulfill their ambitions. And in a fast-changing world, human capital is an essential drive of transformation towards green, sustainable and digital economies. It reduces poverty and is a core to the compact between a government and its citizens. But should we be worried about human capital? According to the latest World Bank report, human capital remains low in the Gambia. Outcomes have improved, especially in early childhood, but progress was and remains constrained by income and regional disparities. The Gambia's failure to build, protect and utilize human capital is reflected in its low human capital index. Faye Borofis, the World Bank's resident representative, says the Gambia is not building enough human capital.
While human capital outcomes before birth and during childhood have improved in recent years, socio-economic and geographical inequalities remain. One bright spot that I would like to mention is that the review highlights that women in the Gambia have higher HCI scores than men across all components, showcasing their achievements in adult survival rates, health and school outcomes. Unfortunately, women and girls face additional constraints that do not allow them to maximize their human capital.
The report also indicates that 64% of the children in the poorest households were anemic in 2019, compared to 30% in the wealthiest households. The review also reveals that Gambia is not utilizing its human capital because 37% of youth aged 15 to 24 are not in education, employment or training. Only half of the working age population participates in the labor force. Large proportions are unpaid.
Among new teachers, only 40% of student teachers scored above the benchmark of 50% on the Gambia College Teacher Competency Exam. The poor quality of teachers has led to poor educational outcomes. Estimates utilizing the 2020 Education Service Delivery Indicators suggest that approximately 90% of 10-year-olds in the Gambia are likely unable to read and understand a short text.
On access to higher education, the report highlights that only 4% of the Gambian students who sat the WAS examination met the University of the Gambia's entrance requirement. CDM Keita, the Minister of Finance, says that the government will ensure the investment in human capital. Here is Mohamed B.S. Jallo, the Gambia's Vice President.
Scaling up investment in the education infrastructure to meet job requirement needs, improving the caliber of faculty and administrative staff, and the ability of teaching and learning materials essential, the availability of teaching and learning materials essential to develop a skilled labor force in response to current and future labor market needs.
Among other things, the report indicates that there is a need to reform the country's education, health and social protection systems. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
Now, the chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, paid a courtesy call on China's ambassador to the Gambia, His Excellency Louis Jean, to discuss areas for possible collaboration. More in this report. Both the chairman of the Q Group and His Excellency Ambassador Louis Jean expressed satisfaction after their meeting. The People's Republic of China has been a dependable partner to the Gambia, contributing to the country's development agenda in health, food security and education, amongst others. The meeting with the Q Group chairman aims to strengthen business relations between the Gambia and the People's Republic of China. Here is Ambassador Louis Jean.
Our bilateral relations. Just now I mentioned that the bilateral relations need support from all walks of life. QTV is a well-known company in the Gambia, and it also involved in the bilateral relations between our two countries. I hope that in the coming years, the Q Group can contribute a lot for our bilateral relations.
For over 30 years, the Q Group has been one of the biggest partners of Chinese companies across a range of business ventures. Currently, the Q Group is in partnership with Huawei, the Chinese multinational technology corporation. The group is also the representative for Futon trucks and buses, Great Wall and other brands. The chairman of the Q Group says the meeting will further cement the business relationship.
And today, talking to the ambassador makes me feel good. We've spoken a lot about how we can develop this business, not only us getting business from China or importing from China, but also we are also looking at how Gambian products can be also exported to Chinese market, and that is also very important. So really, I'm very pleased to be here, and I hope that the Gambia-China relationship will grow from strength to strength.
The private sector has long been recognized as a key stakeholder and partner in economic development. It contributes greatly to tax revenues and efficient flow of capital, as well as provides jobs, goods and services to enhance people's lives. The Q Group chairman calls for private sector leadership for public good.
Governments and governments don't compete. It is business to business, and now everybody understands that. You try to empower your businesses, and if you empower your businesses, your country becomes stronger. And that is why the government of the Gambia is saying that the economy should be driven by the private sectors.
QTV's Mamadou Lamin Choi is currently in China on a 4-month exchange program for journalists, sponsored by the Chinese embassy in the Gambia. Ambassador Louis Jean expressed satisfaction with Choi's performance in China.
Now the life has been back to normal. So we hope that more and more Gambian friends can go to China, to know China, to learn what the true China looks like. So thank you very much, the QTV is sending your excellent journalists to go to China, sending a lot of reports on China, and let the Gambian people to know China, to know the friendship between our two countries.
The Gambia-China relation has been moving forward fruitfully since the two countries resumed diplomatic ties in 2016. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jennifer Sonko. Now, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Gambian government and partners, commenced the 10th round of the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination campaign on Tuesday, with this round expected to last for 4 days. Lolem Kamara was with the team and she passed us reports.
The Ministry of Health and the government of the Gambia continue to strengthen efforts towards reaching the WHO's 70% vaccination target. Despite the many rounds carried out by the Health Ministry, only 21% of the target group have been vaccinated. According to Michael Mangamendi, the Acting Director for Health Promotion and Education Directorate, the ministry is determined to meet the 70% target. He adds that since 2020, they have to work hard to ensure the public is protected from COVID-19 disease.
The ministry has planned another round, which is the round 10, which has started this morning, and we hope people will come out to get vaccinated.
The officials we engaged said the move is geared towards completing the 70% target set by the government. And even though the cases of COVID-19 have dropped significantly, they believed there should not be any room for compromise. Mr. Manga Mendy is hopeful that this time around there will be massive increase in terms of coverage. Bainjai, Deputy Program Manager of the expanded program on immunization under the Ministry of Health, said even though COVID-19 has been declared as no longer a public health emergency, it is still important to save the public through vaccination.
It's our mandate to make sure that we vaccinate people to continue protecting them against the disease. So that's why we are now embarking on another round of vaccination nationwide to vaccinate people against COVID-19. If you could recall, even a few weeks ago, we just concluded a measles rubella vaccination campaign. So it's an ongoing process to make sure that we continue protecting the population.
Mr. Njai spoke of the campaign approach this time around.
We have people at health facilities, vaccination teams. Some would be stationed at health facilities. Some will be going house to house, moving from one street to the other. They are moving with more social mobilizers who will be canvassing for people to come out. And then also they will, if they sit down for some time and they do not see people coming out, they will now start moving, just trying to make sure that they get closer to the people who need the vaccine.
Challenges such as misconceptions surrounding the vaccines and hesitancy are among many other things, which continue to be the ministry's biggest problems in trying to meet the 70% target. Mr. Njai then gave this message to the public.
So we know that there are a lot of anti-vaccination groups that are working against vaccination programs to drill the efforts of the vaccination program. But what we want to assure the population is that the vaccines are safe and effective. They have been protecting people against vaccine-preventable diseases, and they will continue to protect them. So taking the vaccine is protecting yourself against any vaccine-preventable disease.
Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Sinopharm are the 3 types of vaccines currently being administered in the country. Health workers strongly recommended these vaccines as they say are safe and effective in preventing severe COVID-19 infection, hospitalization, and death. The targeted areas for the vaccinations include community bantabas, health facilities, schools, markets, and crossing points, amongst others. As the ministry strengthens its efforts to get to the 70% target, solicits the support of the public. For QTV News, Lolly M. Kamara.
Now from that story by Lolly M. Kamara on the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination, we will now go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we have some more local and international news stories for you. Do stay with us.
Inco Home Choice. Home Choice. Bagage bu baax mooy def liggéey bu baax te wóor te soo ko jëndee dina la yóbbu ci diir bu yàgg te du gaaw a yàqu. Inco Home Choice ñoo leen indil bépp xeetu bagage yi jumtuwaay yi ngeen mun a jëfandikoo ci seeni métier yi.
waaw ñun Inco fii leen day jëndee suñu bagage yi Inco lañ yombalee bagage yi dañ over baax quality bagage lañ lay jaay moo tax ñun liggéey bu ñoo def electrical plumbing boo ko jiwi Inco fii leen day ñëw bricam ñu jënd suñu bagage ñu bàyyi ko ba ci Toustan Serekunda fii waaye fii leen day ñëwee bagage dina bagage lu waral loolu Inco dañ yombalee bagage number 1 number 2 seen bagage yi dañ over baax dañ over quality
bagage yu si mel ni power tools accessories bench tools generator yu baax welding machines ak small construction equipments muy bagage yu baax yi ngeen mën a jëfandikoo bu ngeen ay samp ay kër.
Parce que Inco mo fene di la bagage so quality sa garantie bi la bagage so bagage nya sa nimi sa tije mi ta fo min na Inco ma so to janga man Gambia janga ma so to folo den nga ñoo ma koy akole la nya wonyandi mbe nga wuli nga na Inco nga bagage so sa
seet si leen ñu si suñu maakaan yi nekk ci biir réew mi foofa sa Jinpex Kanifing Sukuta Jabang traffic light ak Birkama opposite Joko night club wala ngeen call ñu ci 532 5773 wala 341 7619 wala 739 8863 wala 303 9300 wala nga email ñu incogambia@gmail.com ak Inco Home Choice jafe-jafe ci wàllu bagage yi ngeen di jëfandikoo ci seen métier yi jeex na. Inco Home Choice. Inco Home Choice.
dañuy wecc xar xanam dafa war a wute ak li nga daan gis daxin piir puuj paaj lay doon QTV du ay fodde Tabaski style 2023 bi dafay toj de xoolal ma modèle si ak ni ñu koy tempee ñawkat yi gën a xarañ ci réew mi la ñu àndal ñu fas yéene indi ay style yu ngeen mësul a gis ren jii yée lépp day wute li tax mooy Cheikh Fall day ñëw daal di tàngal bërëb bi waa groupe Daaray Lamp Fall yéen a gën a xam Cheikh Fall ci ambiance waaye ku ci topp borom bëm kan la xanaa attaque waa lii kañ la xanaa ondi neen tuun fële ca Q City juróom-ñaari waxtu lay tàmbali jëm ca kaw waaye di leen fàttalil ticket yi mu ngeen koo amee ci bépp Qcell customer care Kairaba Avenue turntable Bruce bi ticket $400 VIP $700 mun ngeen a call ci number bi 344 4444 2023 bi dafa nar a ca kes de ñawkat yi dañoo ñaw pire modèle si dañoo modèle pire QTV day jommale QTV 2023 du yomba de sponsored by Nido.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV News, and I am Jenna Basonko. Now, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, in collaboration with the United Nations and Economic Commission for Africa, Tuesday commenced a 3-day regional consultative forum on digital ID and interoperability in Africa. Jilda Jai attended the event, and Shana reports.
The Digital Transformation Strategy for Africa aims to enhance an integrated and inclusive African digital society. To meet this vision, the strategy also aims to build a secure digital market for Africa by 2030 that will enable free movement of persons, services and capital. One that will ensure both individuals and businesses can trade in the African Continental Free Trade Area. Digital ID and interoperability are essential to realizing both these visions and objectives. The strategy also aims to ensure that 99.9% of the people in Africa have digital legal IDs as part of the civil registration systems by 2030. Maktar Sek, the Chief of Technology and Innovation Section and Coordinator of the Digital Center with the UN Economic Commission for Africa, says despite the successes registered, Africa is still confronted with numerous challenges when it comes to digital ID.
We need for government to request strengthen political to support this digital ID program because it is an issue of national sovereignty, and implementing digital ID system require a lot of investment and resource, and wise government should take the lead. Also, public awareness. It is a lack of understanding of some government as well as some population on the importance of digital ID. Why this workshop will help to understand better the implication of the digital ID on the socio-economic development.
On Saturday, the UNDP country representative said it is essential to improve the operations of services and with a holistic approach to enhance availability of service systems, to share and exchange information between institutions.
It is essential, and it enables especially the government to generate, access and use data services between public and private sector and even civil society, as we just mentioned. Digital identity and interoperability in the Gambia and in other countries will indeed help to improve services for delivery, reduce fraud, and increase transparency and accountability in our public administration.
Usman Bah, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, stated that digital ID is one of the priority areas for his ministry.
In our ministry, the digital ID is imperative and digitalizing our economies and in line with the AU Digital Transformation Strategy in 2030. Our quest to establish the national payment gateway and to promote the cash-light environment can be realized without digital ID. We need digital ID to instill the security confidence in the use of our e-services. We must take advantage brought by technology to achieve our development aspiration.
Minister Ba went on to say that regional cooperation and collaboration are vital for border payments. As one example, the Africa Free Trade Agreement is the trade pact to form the world's largest free trade area by creating a single market for goods and services of almost 1.3 billion people across Africa, which will deepen the economic integration of the continent. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
14 students from 7 lower basic schools in the North Bank region have participated in a day-long extracurricular activities held at Tuba Angale Lower Basic School in Fas Jagachoy. Don Williams attended, and this is his report.
The event was graced by parents, teachers, friends, community members, and invited guests from the region. The competition included debates, poetry, spellings, and miming. Sanabu Drame, the head teacher of Tuba Angale Lower Basic School, encouraged other schools to engage children in extracurricular activities.
This is a challenge for other schools also to follow, because this is not a program that we just come and sit down and laugh and so on. No. It's a program that educates children, bring children together, and they show their talents.
Umar Choi, the guest speaker, congratulated the organizers and stressed the importance of education.
Education is a life changer from grass to glory. We all witness here what has happened, but taking it at the school dimension, the way we operate, looking at education in general perspective, we know that without education, you cannot do anything positive.
At the end of the competition, prizes were awarded to winners of various categories. Quiz, first position, Smart Kids Academy. Debates, first position, Bore Ba Lower Basic School. Miming, first position, Fas Lower Basic School. And poetry, first position, Fas Arabic School. Don Williams, QTV News, Fas Jagachoy.
Interesting. From that, let's take a look at news beyond our borders. The Senegalese government on Tuesday temporarily closed its consulates abroad following a series of attacks on diplomatic missions in Bordeaux, Milan, Paris and New York, amongst other places. Leona E. Igwenyiba has more in this report.
The closures were announced amid political tension in Senegal, following the sentencing of opposition leader Ousmane Sonko to 2 years in prison. Sonko, who enjoys widespread support among Senegalese youth, was cleared of a rape charge but found guilty on Thursday of corrupting young people, which according to the country's penal code is immoral behavior towards a person younger than 21. His supporters say the verdict was politically motivated as Sonko is challenging President Macky Sall's government in upcoming elections in 2024. The sentence sparked clashes that left at least 16 people dead and considerable damage. It also gave rise to demonstrations abroad. Videos posted on social networks showed the facade of the Senegalese consulate in Paris in the 16th arrondissement, covered with tags hostile to the government of Macky Sall. Other videos showed what is presented as the interior of the Bordeaux consulate, invaded by a dozen people. The protest therefore seems to have crossed the country's borders and reached the states where the Senegalese diaspora is very present. The consulates will reopen when material and security conditions allow it, indicates the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in a press release published on Tuesday. The ministry added that the precautionary measure followed a series of aggression that caused serious damage, particularly in Milan, where passport-making machines and identity cards were damaged. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena Igwenyiba.
Unfortunate news there. Now, before we end this news bulletin, let's recap our main headlines. A child born in Gambia today will only attain 42.4% of their potential productivity as an adult, according to the latest World Bank Human Capital Review report. The chairman of the Q Group, Mohamed Jah, paid a courtesy call on China's ambassador to the Gambia, His Excellency Louis Jean, to discuss areas for possible collaboration. And the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Gambian government and partners, commenced the 10th round of the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination campaign on Tuesday. And the Ministry of Communications, Digital Economy and Partners on Tuesday commenced a 3-day regional consultative forum on digital ID and interoperability in Gambia. In international news, Senegal's government on Tuesday temporarily closed its consulates abroad following a series of attacks on its diplomatic missions. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching and have a good night.